before the real revival of the truths. So the principles and the doctrines and the prophecies that people need to know
of apostolic times. So it's going to be based on the foundations.
There's going to be a counterfeit that comes, and it's going to look like the greatest revival ever, but it's a deception.
And I think we just saw a video of that.
In those churches, which he can bring under his deceptive power, he will make it appear that God's special blessing is poured out. That's a very scary statement. Mm-hmm. There will be manifest what is thought to be great religious interest. And that's exactly what we're seeing. All these young people are all of a sudden being interested in religion and interested in God. Are they really interested in God and the truth? Or is it in this formality that makes them feel good? And sometimes these young people don't know the difference.
Right.
They think it's both, but unfortunately, the devil is in there sprinkling in his error to try and distract from the truth. Multitudes will exalt that God is working marvelously for them, when the work is that of another spirit. Under a religious guise, Satan will seek to extend his influence over the Christian world.
So under a religious guise, Satan is extending his influence.
Yes.
And in the next slide, we see more of this quote. In many of the revivals which have occurred during the last half century, the same influences have been at work to a greater or lesser degree that will be manifest in the more extensive movements of the future. So in other words, there have been revivals, but there are going to be even more. There is an emotional excitement. Isn't that what we saw?
Yep.
A mingling of the true with the false that is well adapted to mislead. Yet none need be deceived. In the light of God's word, it is not difficult to determine the nature of these movements. Wherever men neglect the testimony of the Bible, turning away from those plain, soul-testing truths which require self-denial and renunciation of the world, there we may be sure that God's blessing is not bestowed. And by the rule which Christ himself has given, ye shall know them by their fruits. It is evident that these movements are not the work of the Spirit of God.
And I want to bring back to that middle highlighted line there, wherever men neglect the testimony of the Bible. And this is the thing. What is the testimony? Well, if we look at the start of the book of Revelation, it is the testimony of Jesus Christ. So if you actually are trying to know Jesus and want to know Jesus, you have to go to the book of Revelation, because that's where he's telling you about himself.
Right.
But we separate all the doctrines, the truths. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Not I am good feelings, and positivity. It's about truth, and we need to be searching for that truth.
Well, especially in today's world where there is all kinds of truths, let's call them that, but they're really not. But everyone says, well, if it's true for you, it's good. And if it's true for me, it's good. But we need to be searching for the truth.
Is God subject to us, or are we subject to God?
Right.
If we believe that God is our creator, a lot of people think, well, if I'm just a good person, if I'm
right.
But what's a good person? Defined by who?
Yeah.
You, me? We need to be getting back and asking God these questions. So now we have an interesting interview here. This is Paula White.
Look, we're going through a lot of problems in our country. If you take a look at the anger, the problems that we have, and a lot of it is that it's less based on religion now than it was 25 years ago and 50 years ago. And I mean, we were people would say, a Christian and really religious, even other faiths country. And that seems to be heading in the wrong direction. And I think as that goes down, I think that our country goes down. I really do. I think this is a country that needs religion. It's like the glue that holds it together. And we don't have that. That's why you are the most important people. And I'm not sure you even realize it. And they're trying to hurt you. They're trying to stymie you. This new administration, this new radical left group of people, and it's not so new. It's been around for a while, and they are people that are not nice people. If you happen to be Catholic, we don't have too many Catholics here, maybe, but boy, they are persecuting Catholics. I actually said, how could a Catholic possibly vote for Kamala? How could that? I mean, no, the level of anger and the level of vitriol. You know, when you see what's going on with the FBI and the Catholic Church, I say, what is happening? And you know, the expression is that you're next, because everybody's next with this group.
I find that really fascinating that he keeps bringing up the Catholics, and he does this more than once in several speeches where the Catholics are persecuted
Yes.
and they're being put down and all of these things. It's just a really fascinating thing, and it points us back to Revelation 13, which we're going to keep getting into a little bit more.
And it's interesting because Catholics were the ones who were doing the persecuting for 1,260 years of others who disagreed with them. And now suddenly, somehow, it seems that he thinks they're being persecuted again.
Yes. Now we have Trump's NRB speech, which several of you may have already heard this before.
You're going to be able to do it because you're the people we want to hear from, the pastors and the ministers and the rabbis. The people in this room are the people we want to hear from, and they have to have a political voice. You know, if you think about it, you have men, you have women, and you have religion. If you look at it, you have more than the men, you have more than the women. You have such power, but you weren't allowed to use that power, and you're now allowed to use it. I get in there, you're going to be using that power at a level that you've never used it before. It's going to bring back the churchgoer. I mean, you have to see, I don't like the charts when I see charts where they're going in the wrong direction. We don't like that. We're going to bring it back. And I really believe it's the biggest thing missing from this country. It's the biggest thing missing. We have to bring back our religion. We have to bring back Christianity in this country.
So more power than you've ever had, he says to them. And you will use that power at a level that you've never had used it before. That's scary language. What does that mean? And they're going to bring back the churchgoer. So it sounds very forceful, if you ask me.
Yeah, this is where we really need to take a closer look at Revelation 13. And in this chapter, if we look at verse 11, it says, "And I beheld another beast." Now, in Daniel 7, verse 16 and 17, it says that in prophecy, a beast represents a kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
It says, "This beast is coming out of the earth." Well, the first beast in this chapter came out of the sea,
A populated area.
a populated area. Revelation 17, verse 15 says that waters represent peoples and multitudes and nations. So this beast is coming from an unpopulated area, a new area.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly America, this unpopulated land that's not so populated like Europe was. And it has two horns like a lamb. So it's Christ-like.
Right.
It has lamb-like attributes. But the problem is, it says in verse 11 at the very end that it will speak like a dragon. And this is a big problem. Verse 12 says, "And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast," which means that everything the papacy did during the Dark Ages, America is going to end up doing. And that's a thought that most people can't even fathom.
Especially because it's called the land of the free.
But it's going to be the largest persecuting power in the entire world.
And that's going to take some doing, coming from America's roots, which was based on religious liberty, to now speaking like a dragon. That's going to take some doing. And actually, we're going to see that the Catholics had a lot to do with how America changed.
Absolutely. So then we go to verse 14, and it says, "And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast." So he's telling the world, hey, we need to make an image to the beast.
An image is a likeness,
A likeness.
a mirror image.
So it's going to have the same attributes, the same characteristics of the first beast, which was worldwide power, persecuting power,
Yeah.
church
and state together
power. Then if we go down to verse 16, "And he causeth all."
So that's forceful there.
There we see force coming into the picture, both that he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark. So literally what we're seeing is it's going to become religious. It's going to become unified, religious, and political. This is the lamb-like aspect of this, Christ-like. It's going to be a Christian nation, but it's going to have political force. And it's going to enforce what's called the mark of the beast.
Right. And that's
And-
America.
And America's doing this.
Mhm.
This is the crazy part. Are we supposed to have the church and the state mixing like this?
Well, that's not how God sets it up. In the next slide, we even see that Matthew 22, verse 21 says, render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God. So there's a separation here. Give to the government what you owe them, give to God, and they are not to be mixed. The church should not be directing the government, and the government should not be directing the church.
So are you saying that this golden age of Trump and America is not God's kingdom?
Oh, no, I definitely don't think so. I mean, God says that my kingdom is not of this world.
So this is a very important thing for us to remember. In light of what prophecy is saying that America is going to do, it's not a great thing in regards to bringing religion back up. And that's why we're referencing all of this, because people are getting super excited that God's coming back, but the way that God's going to come back in America is going to be forced. And it says here in verse 15, at the end of verse 15, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed.
Yeah, cause them to be killed. So there's some sort of a death decree here as well.
Yes, and that's a very serious thing. So like you just referenced in John 18:36, Jesus said, my kingdom is not of this world, that we shouldn't be looking for that here.
Right. They don't believe this verse. They actually believe that the earth is going to be God's kingdom, that we need to bring it back. That's why there's so much focus on Israel and, just reestablishing the religion is part of that.
Yes, absolutely.